A service, I think we can define that as a self-contained technical implementation of a business capability, right? I don't know if that necessarily means anything without an example. So something like managing a customer, right? A customer entity, the ability to create a customer, update a customer, add an address, change an address, whatever. That's a business capability. And so a service is a bounded context, and all it's responsible for is, or a customer service, all a customer service would be responsible for is managing that customer entity. What is a service-oriented architecture? So a service-oriented architecture takes those individual business capabilities you have in your application and creates independent end-to-end code bases, I guess, that can be independently developed and independently deployed. The key thing is that if there's any kind of communication between those services, you need to define an interface to support that communication, and that defines the contract that both services will adhere to exchange data. Services versus APIs. So the service is providing the functionality and the resources for a particular business capability. Now, to allow another system or an application to interact or interface with that service, it needs to go through an API. Right, so the API is the interface into that service. So any system, right, can interact with a service or an application via APIs. So the V3 APIs today, in fact, the QBO UI can use the V3 APIs or the Neo APIs as along with third-party applications. Same with V4. The intention is that all our internal applications and external third-party applications will be interfacing with our services through those APIs. So the only way to access the functionality or resources associated with the service is via the APIs. Okay, so if I'm in a UI and I hit send invoice, all right, so behind the scenes, in theory, in V4, there will be a service that's responsible for the invoice entity. And so there'll be a request, an HTTP request, sent to the V4 API that will contain a payload that we've defined a contract for, that both the client application and the service understand. And that service will consume that payload, create an invoice, and then respond back to the client whether it succeeded or not. An API is like the Babelfish in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It helps you to translate between two different systems. They can communicate using the same language.